Hi and welcome to this week's video. If you're someone that wants to sew an easy pattern or a beginner just getting into sewing, then stay tuned because today I'm sharing my 5 favourite woven patterns for beginners. Hi, I'm Amelia and welcome to my channel Sew Amelia, where I share all about making a handmade wardrobe for me and my children. Welcome to this week's video where I have some really lovely garments to show you and my 5 favourite patterns to share. So I am going to share what I'm wearing in today's video, but you'll have to stay tuned to the end for that one. What I'm going to start with is bottoms. So the first pattern I'm going to share with you is the By Hand London Jessica skirt. It has a deep panelled waistband which is curved, which is so flattering, and then it has 3 different skirt options. So I have chosen to do the gathered skirt, which is extremely full and very swishy. Perfect. Or you can do a pleated skirt or a circle skirt, depending on your preference. This pattern comes in UK sizes 6 to 24, and I really love this one because it does come together quite easily. There is this middle panel, there are 2 side panels. The only tricky part perhaps is this invisible zip in the side, but I can recommend a tutorial by Lauren from Guthrie Garney. She walks you through the invisible zip process so well that when I did my first one when I came back to sewing, it made it so much easier as I could really get my head around the technique. So if you're a beginner that wants to try something new or try a zip for the first time, I can recommend that tutorial and then you'll be away with this skirt. It really is very quick and easy to put together and perfect for swishing about in the summer weather. Now I have made 2 versions of this one, so I made this gingham version, and then because I loved it so much I made another version in Liberty fabric, and that's this one here with these gorgeous rainbow Tudor houses on it. Just if you do have a go at this pattern, it does require a long width of fabric, so you get all of this beautiful gathering and a really proper swishy skirt. But the Liberty fabric is narrower in width than what the pattern requires. Now all I did was simply cut 2 lengths, the full width of the fabric, and gather those into the waistband, and that was absolutely fine. So don't panic if you're looking at the pattern and thinking you don't have enough fabric. I'm sure you really will. Just gather what you have from the full width of your fabric into the waistband if you don't quite have enough, and it will still be beautiful and swishy like this one. So my second favourite easy sewing pattern is the Winslow culottes. This is really tricky to show you because these are in black, but I absolutely love them, and black is such a practical colour for going with a lot of the other tops in my wardrobe. Again, another lovely swishy pattern, perfect for summer weather. I made mine in a viscose linen, which is really nice for the summer, but you can make these in a cotton lawn, linen, probably a chambray would be perfect as well. Now these have a lovely fitted waistband and another invisible zip. You can tell I love zippers, but great thing about these is that Helen's Closet on their website have some fantastic tutorials and hacks, and one of them is to turn these Winslow culottes into an elasticated back waist pants pattern. So if you're someone that is a beginner, doesn't want to tackle an invisible zip, then you can very easily alter this waistband so that it has an elastic at the back. Now some people prefer that. I personally prefer a fitted waistband. I find it weirdly more comfortable than elastic, but if you prefer elastic or you're a beginner, then go right ahead and swap out that invisible zip for an elastic. So this pattern has beautiful wide inverted box pleats at the front. Don't be panicked by those. They are very easy to put in, especially with Helen's Closet's brilliant instructions. They really hold your hand, walk you through the process, and it is quite straightforward. Now this pattern comes as shorts, or as culottes, or as palazzo pants. So really great pattern, and again, just because Helen's Closet patterns hold your hand so well, it really is a perfect trouser pattern for a beginner. Now these come in sizes 0 to 34, which is up to a 62-inch hip, so a really lovely extensive size range there, and they have pockets. I mean, look, you could lose yourself in those. Brilliant deep pockets. Okay, so those are 2 patterns for bottoms. I'm going to go on to 2 patterns for your tops. So the first one I'm going to share is my current favourite top pattern, and that is the French Navy vetiver top. It is such a lovely contemporary style whilst feeling quite feminine, which is what I prefer. So here is my latest version of the French Navy vetiver top. It has beautiful princess seams down here for shaping. It has a button placket, which is beautiful to sew. And on my version I've added the ruffles, although you can extend these patterns down to the bottom here for the other view, which gives you a slightly longer, straighter finish. It has these slightly gathered sleeves which just give a lovely shape across your shoulder, and it has a bias bound neckline. Now, don't be put off by the princess seams. Again, Sarah's instructions for French navy are so good that this top comes together beautifully. Now, the other thing is sometimes as a beginner you do want to try a new technique. So if you've not tried buttonholes before, this is a great place to start. The other thing is that this pattern is finished off with French seams. Now, the instructions for this are fantastic. So if you've not tried French seams before and you want to, I can definitely recommend this pattern. However, if you're not up for French seams and you just want to finish it off with your overlocker, you can do that too. I did that on this version and it came together so quickly, but you still have a beautiful top at the end of it. For my first version, which is in this really fun Lady McElroy Faces cotton lawn, for this version I did finish the inside with French seams, and that just gives a really lovely finish as well. So if you're a beginner wanting to try something new, then give this pattern a go. I really love the look of it as well. I think it's such a pretty shape, and it did come together really, really nicely. Perfect for the summer weather we're having too. I should mention that the French Navy Vetiver top comes in sizes A to H. So that's a bust of 32 inches up to a bust of 43¼ inches. Now, the third pattern I'm going to share is a favourite in the sewing community, and that is the True Bias Ogden Cami. Now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere like I am, then this is the perfect summer top. But if you are in the Southern Hemisphere where it is a little colder right now, this is a great layering piece. You can layer it over longer tops or underneath jumpers or blazers and things like that. It's probably a little cold for that right now, but it is a great layering piece. It has this beautiful deep V at the front and also at the back, if you can see that. That's one way to tell the back from the front. It's a slightly deeper V. I have put a label on this one as well though, because that can be slightly tricky. It also has a facing on the inside, or a lining, that comes about halfway down the front here, so that's a great new skill to master, and the instructions hold your hand through that whole process. Now, it comes in sizes 0 to 30. Sizes 0 to 18 have this thin strap here, and sizes 14 to 30 have a slightly thicker strap, which is great. But if you want a thicker strap, and I think I do on my next version, then again, Lauren from Guthrie Garney has a fantastic tutorial video over on her channel where she talks you through how to widen the pattern slightly and add in a thicker strap. It's super straightforward. If learning to alter patterns is something that you want to sort of get your head around, then that's a fantastic tutorial to follow. Now, the other fantastic thing about the Ogden Cami is its versatility. You could hack this pattern in so many different ways. You could add a peplum, you could add a gathered skirt and turn it into a dress. The options are endless, and if you search for Ogden Cami on Instagram or Ogden Cami hacks on Google or Instagram, you will come up with so many different ways that you can turn this into so many different garments, which I love about a pattern. So again, if you're someone who's lost your sojo, just wants an easy pattern to get your teeth into, I can recommend this one if you haven't tried it yet. Not just because it's a great cami top, but because you could hack it and get your creative juices flowing again in so many different ways. I can't believe it took me so long to make this, and I cannot wait to make some more versions and hacks of the True Bias Ogden Cami. Okay, so we're on to pattern number 5, and that is a dress. I couldn't let this video go without sharing a nice, easy dress pattern for beginners, and I'm going to share the Avid Seamstress Day Dress. Now, on her website she does say this is for an advanced beginner or an intermediate sewist, but actually the instructions are so brilliant and the pattern pieces are nice and straightforward to put together that I think if you are a confident beginner and you read the instructions carefully, you'll be fine. Additionally, there is a fantastic tutorial that goes along with this pattern, so it really, really does help if you're a beginner and you want to get your teeth into something new. So this is my first version that I made of the day dress. It has got 2 darts for shaping, one along here, a bust dart, and then a waist dart that goes up this way. And then the skirt is a gathered skirt, and it's actually gathered with elastic, which was a really interesting technique to learn. However, again, if you're not confident with using elastic or you don't have it in your stash, you can simply gather the fabric to the width of the bodice and sew it in as a traditional gathered skirt. Again, it has pockets, which is very important. You can make this in cotton, which is a great fabric to get started with if you're a beginner. Now, on the back, it is finished, again, with my favorite invisible zip. But this is another pattern that has brilliant instructions for putting in this invisible zip. And again, I think this was one of the first projects that I made with an invisible zip when I was getting back into sewing, and the instructions just made it a real delight to put in. So the skirt is a fairly straight skirt. It goes out a little bit for some shaping, but it just, I think that gathering gives it such a lovely shape over your waist and hips. And this one comes in sizes 8 to 18, and there are 3 different bodice options that you have with this pattern. It has this just plain front here, or it has a front that you can cut into 2 pieces with a center seam, or you can sew it with a button placket down the front, which would be super cute for the summer. Now again, for those of you who might want to get your creative juices flowing, I love this pattern because it allows for so much creativity and it is a really hackable pattern. So this is the first version that I made, like I said, which just followed the pattern as it was. But then I got creative. So let me share those hacks with you now. You can tell from the front of this one that I've had a play around with the waistband. I wanted to raise the waist of the pattern a little bit to just slightly higher. It does sit just on your natural waist, but I lifted it just by 1 inch or so and I added this curved waistband because at the back I wanted to do a slight open back hack. Now all I did with the back pieces was kind of roughly draw what I wanted to offer the back of the pattern, and then just had fun whacking in buttonholes and button loops where they seemed to fit. So this was really just an experiment. I had this fabric that I bought as a remnant that I loved, but I wasn't really sure if yellow was my colour. So I wanted to put this together for a great sewing challenge run by Jess by Sew What If I Sew, which is called Sew Yellow for Endo. And I just wanted to have some fun. And the day dress was a great base to start hacking from, and now I have a dress that I absolutely love. I love the open back, it's so lovely and cool in the summer. I love the gathered skirt, so that's definitely a win. Now the other way I've hacked the day dress by the avid seamstress is to just add on some different sleeves. Now for this one I went down a size, so it's a slightly more fitted bodice. I put on the gathered skirt as normal. It has got pockets, which is lovely. Especially on a bit more of a going out dress. It's nice to have a pocket for your phone and your lipstick and all the rest of it. But I did put on these fantastic sleeves. Now these are from a free pattern by Mood Society, and it's their poppy dress pattern. I love the poppy dress, but I especially love the sleeves. I absolutely love these sleeves. I thought they worked really well with the plain bodice of the avid seamstress day dress and the gathered skirt, and they just add a little bit of extra oomph to the dress. They're lovely and poofy, especially in this fabric, which is more like a cotton canvas weight actually. I got it from an eBay vintage fabric seller, so I wasn't expecting to be quite so structured, but I absolutely love it with the structure of the day dress bodice and the way it's fitted to you. It just adds a little bit of extra drama with the weight of that fabric to hold the puff of the sleeves. So that's the Avid Seamstress, the day dress. A great simple pattern if you're a beginner sewist, and then something that you can hack really, really easily if you are a sewist just looking for a nice easy project, but one that you can hack and play about with creatively. Now, I did say I would share what I am wearing, so this is the 6th pattern I'm going to share with you, so a nice little bonus pattern here. And it wouldn't really be a beginner's sewing video if I didn't mention Tilly and the Buttons. Tilly and the Buttons patterns are brilliant. They are so well explained, the instructions are so clear, they really hold your hand, so they are excellent for beginners. And this pattern was actually the first one that I sewed up when I was getting back into sewing. It is the Indigo dress. Now here is the version that I made when I was getting back into sewing. It is such a lovely, simple smock dress. There are 2 darts in the bodice, so that's a lovely new skill if you don't know how to do that yet, and it's really well explained in the instructions. It has a beautiful gathered skirt. Now I chose to use the ruffle here, which is explained in the instructions, or you can just simply attach it as a gathered skirt without the ruffle. There are some simple sleeves in the pattern, and then if you would like to, there is an expansion to the pattern which adds a puffed sleeve. I think there's a long sleeve, there's like an elastic gathered sleeve, which is really pretty as well. And then the bodice has a few different options. So this one is just the very simple bodice with a slight curve here at the waistline, which is really lovely. But the expansion pack has got a button back bodice, which is really cool as well. And I think there's also an option for a peplum top in that version. It has pockets, which is great. And I made mine with 2 very simple waist ties, which I just inserted here at the waist, which just allows me to pull it in a little bit around my waist if I want it a little bit more fitted. But honestly, I often just prefer to leave them untied, and you can't really see that they're there anyway. They just sort of hang loosely at the waist. Now this pattern is great, it comes in sizes 6 to 34, so that's a great size range, and I just think it's a lovely, lovely beginner project. It has a facing at the top, so if you've not sewn a facing before, that's a great new skill to learn. Or if you're a sewist that doesn't prefer facings, you can very easily line this bodice by simply cutting another front and back piece, and then you can sew that into the gathered skirt. This is such a great dress. It doesn't have any fastenings or finishings, there's no invisible zips, so don't panic. And if you make the very simple bodice version like this one, there are no buttons, so you can just pull it over your head and you're good to go. I loved this pattern, but I did want to play around with it a little bit, and the dress that I'm wearing today is a hacked version of the Indigo dress. Now, I made it with the bodice, with the darts in the bust, but I just straightened out the neckline a little bit and made it more of a square neck, and then I altered the facings in the same way. And then for the sleeves, I made them puffed at the top, and then I actually added shirring down at the bottom, just for something different. But I love the way that that just fits then around my arms and gives just a gentle puff to the sleeves. Now on this version, I added waist ties again, and what I love is that I can tie them at the back, which just gives the dress a fitted look, or what I thought I would do today is tie them at the front, and I think that gives sort of milkmaid vibes, which is cool. I have been thinking about making a milkmaid dress, and so when I tied this at the front this morning and it gives this lovely sort of ruched detail across the front, I thought I've got that milkmaid dress style without having to make a new dress, so win-win. So yeah, I do love the Tilly of the Buttons Indigo dress. It's just a lovely floaty style for the summer. It's easy to wear, easy to style, pull it on and you feel put together and ready for the day. So that is my 6th pattern for this video. So I really hoped you enjoyed seeing those patterns today and that you've been inspired to sew something, both if you are a beginner or if you're just looking for a nice easy pattern to get sewing. I recently had a bit of a bout of losing my sojo, and I really enjoyed actually putting together this blue vetiver top. It just started those creative juices flowing again and got me back into the sewing room and feeling that joy of sewing again that we all want to feel when we're getting creative. So if you want to know any more about these patterns, I have linked them all in the description box below, so you can go and click on the links and they'll take you through to the pattern websites where you can find out more about each of these patterns. Also, if you've enjoyed today's video, it would be so fantastic if you would give the video a thumbs up, and then if you want to leave me any comments, do so below. I always love chatting with you in the comments. Additionally, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, it would be so great to have you as one of my regular viewers, so do hit that subscribe button and tap on the notification bell so you'll be made aware of when I publish future videos. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a really happy week ahead full of lots of lovely sewing. I certainly know that I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into some new projects this week. Please do come back next week. I'm going to share all of the things that I've been making in June, and until then, I hope you have a lovely week full of happy sewing, and I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye!